Good day, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. Today, I'll be doing a special edition because this is what honesty looks like. No polish, no mask. When people speak from their gut, the code slips out. Let's listen for what's being said here and what's smuggled in, because I'll be doing a reaction video about this former white supremacist and some of the things that she stated as she's breaking down Stephen Miller's memorial speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. Now, this is inside testimony that, in my opinion, hits different. When someone says, I believe this, they're not guessing the subtext. They have lived it as she has. Treat this as a decoder ring, not as a debate. We're not here for the debate. This is from her own account, and which she stated is true from her experience and what she has been through. Now, in my opinion, a memorial should be for mourning, not mobilizing, which how grief gets weaponized in a rally cry that pivot matters. And in this video, she's going to translate a lot of the things that Stephen Miller has stated at Charlie Kirk's memorial service. So I think this will help a lot of people to understand the rise or the resurgence of white Christian nationalism, which is absolutely evil in the regards in which she stated of how they picture it and what it really is.
An hour ago when I began to script about it. So let's dive into this. I hope not just to give you a response, but to translate what he's saying, because I think there's so much that only a former white supremacist can see.
The angels wept, but those tears have been turned into fire in our hearts. And that fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend or understand.
So right there is a former cult member and somebody who was part of the alt-right and hardcore Christian nationalist. Every cult has an in-group and an out-group. You have to have a leader. You have to have a purpose. You have to have the pure genetic pool or the pure membership. Purity is everything. And from the very get-go here, he's talking about angels. So he's sanctifying everything that he's going to say here. We speak for God. The angels are behind us. And our enemies, that's the out-group. This is terrifying in the first 8 seconds here.
What I see.
Also, this is when rhetoric gets poetic and manipulation gets surgical. And our job is to pull the meaning out from behind the metaphor. And I'm glad she did this breakdown, because this is going to help a lot of people in general, especially Black people, to understand that white supremacy, racism, prejudice, neo-Nazi groups, one percenters, all of these different groups, they are different factions of white supremacy, and how they speak to one another and how coded language is being overlooked as if this is sort of Christian or as empowering to people who are mourning Charlie Kirk.
Erica and her strength and her courage. I'm reminded of a famous expression. The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm.
I used to love that quote, and I actually had that on my Facebook profile for a long time. And I had this feeling of, I am the storm. And there's a little word in there that a lot of people might have missed, and it's just the word warrior. As a white supremacist, I literally believed that I was this warrior. I was the warrior for civilization. I was the warrior for God. I was the warrior for truth. I was the warrior battling for traditional family and everything that civilization was based on. So that little word there is not insignificant.
In addition, every cult playbook starts with a circle and a line. Us inside of it, them outside of it. Draw that line enough times and people will stop seeing humans. They will stop being humane. And the only thing that they see are uniforms as us, as well as other people who are non-white as the enemy.
We are the storm, and our enemies cannot comprehend.
Storm troopers, anybody?
And our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion, our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors.
And before she hits on this point, when he said they built all these things, yes, in some regards, he can take credit for that, but it was built off the backs of slaves, which you guys were deemed had hundreds all around America, north, south, east, and west.
Word warrior again. You guys, if you were never white supremacists, you do not understand how terrifying that little bit of this already was. So white supremacy isn't necessarily about hating brown people. It's not about hating African Americans or the indigenous populations of America, First Nations in New Zealand or Australia, people in India, wherever. It's not about hating them. White supremacy is the belief that white people are chosen. Now, a lot of this is based on biblical mythology. It's based on Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, and the belief that Cain murdered his brother Abel, so he was cursed with brown skin. That was then carried throughout the flood with Ham. Ham was supposed to have been the father of Egypt and Africa after the ark landed wherever it landed. That was what I was taught in church. A lot of my Christian friends, a lot of early colonists believed that concept, that the curse of Cain was why people from Africa were brown skinned. And white supremacy to me was just, I am that pure lineage straight from Adam and Eve. I remember my granddad saying that there were only approximately 250 generations from Adam and Eve to me. That's, just averaging 25 years or something per human generation span. I don't know exactly what his math figure was to get that, and accounting for we've already lived through 6,000 years of Earth history is the biblical teaching. So from Adam and Eve to me was about 250 generations. I literally believed that my pure bloodline went back to Adam and Eve. Adam was handmade by God. God formed him out of the dust. And in the Bible, when it says that God made Adam in his image, to me as a Christian and a believer in the Bible, literally that Adam and Eve was literal, that Heavenly Father was literal. I believed that God was white. I believed that Jesus was white. And so when they made man in his image, then they made a white man. In the Mormon temple, I would watch videos that showed Adam and Eve in the garden, and Eve had long blonde hair just like me. She looked like Erica Kirk in a little suede dress that looked like something a Navajo would have worn. And Adam was white as white could be, and he had a little barbershop haircut. In the Mormon video of Adam and Eve, I always pictured Adam and Eve being white, just like me. And I believed that I was literally descended from them. So this is the core of white supremacy, the belief that God made Adam and Eve perfect. And then the belief that all good things in the world came through white Aryan lineage. This is the Third Reich. This is Nazism. He's not even hiding it. But I think that it's hidden inside because a lot of people don't understand. So this belief that whites were so superior, that they were different than people, is what allowed early Christians in America.
And that's where the supremacy narrative come from. You invoke the heavens, you suspend scrutiny when the political message, as Stephen Miller here is invoking the angels, because this is a political message, again, that is wrapped in angels. It's not just persuasive, it's untouchable. And that's the point. I had Judge O'Bound on my broadcast just the other day, and he spoke about white supremacy in regards that Negroes, colored people, Black people, he was saying all these terms as if we think that supremacy is that a white person is supreme over us, like they rule over us. And the reason why you didn't hear the back and forth, you didn't hear me to challenge that, is because I was interviewing the judge. And out of respect, the way I looked at it, it was not to give him any recourse of what he said, but just to give his opinions and points. Not that I agree on his terms of white supremacy. There are some terms that I did agree with the judge that, again, this was more of an interview of his thoughts and opinions about the questions that I was asking him. But do I agree with him on the narrative and perspective and definition of white supremacy and how Black people view white supremacy? Absolutely not. In my opinion, in the way that I've researched of some of our great master teachers like John Henry Clark, I view white supremacy as a system that a lot of people uphold. And all of those people who uphold the system of white supremacy worldwide, there are not all white. There are not all blonde, blue-eyed white people. No, there are brown people. There are Black people. There are Asian people. There are people from almost every race and demographic that uphold the system of white supremacy as long as it put food on their table. But as we all know, white supremacy will use these tools until they're no longer useful, and then they will break those tools. Warrior is just not a compliment in regards to what he's stating. This is a job description, a job description, no less. Because if I'm a warrior, someone must be the enemy. That identity invites a battlefield, ladies and gentlemen. Because again, this is at a memorial service, which seems as though he's galvanizing the forces against the forces of what he's stating are evil.
Other human beings. That's what chattel slavery was based on. It was based on the belief that African Americans were less than, that they were genetically different. And I believed that they were almost like a totally different species, that because that lineage had been separated for so many years, that we had evolved differently than them. And part of that was because my lineage, like I was descended from Adam and Eve, and then the tribes of Israel and the chosen people. I had descended from the chosen people. I believed that. I believed that from Adam and Eve to me, everything had been revealed through God to his chosen people. And the fact that I was born white meant that I was part of this long race of people that God had instructed. And part of that chosenness is that revelation from God. It's God directly teaching people. Like I believe that God shared his light and knowledge with every inventor. So the first person that had fire, that was Heavenly Father touching his mind and showing him how to start a fire, literally teaching and instructing him. Like Adam received instructions in the Garden of Eden. I believed that like algebra and the written language and everything came from God, that all civilization was direct revelation from God. And by default, anything that happened in the African continent, which I just didn't have the knowledge to understand how much advancement there had been on the African continent, they were less advanced because they were cut off from God. So God wasn't inspiring them with his revelation. God wasn't giving them this technological advancement because they were a cursed people. So that's why Africa was still so primitive and they were like living in huts. And I grew up with National Geographic where, you know, whenever you saw photo shoots of African people, they like were half naked and painted faces and pierced noses and things like that. I believed that they had evolved over the years from Adam completely different than us, and that they had lower IQ and they weren't in any way as advanced as us. And then when he gets to the part about Erica being a warrior, again, we're tying into this Aryanism. We're tying into the strength, the enlightenment, the blessedness of the white people.
Of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry.
It's also important to understand repetition builds identity. Say warrior enough and the crowd stop asking, what are we fighting? And start asking, who are we fighting?
Raised up civilization.
Again, this little bit about civilization. In white supremacy, there is a belief that every good civilized thing that ever happened came from white people. To the point that when archaeologists first started to penetrate the American continent and they discovered some of the ruins of the Olmecs and the Mayans and the Aztecs, they originally speculated that people from Europe must have come over to the Americas because they landed in this whole continent that was full of nothing but brown-skinned people. Some of the French and English.
And this is about people's blood being blessed. Your rights become negotiable. And this is, quite the deal. And what she, in my opinion, is referring to is when civilization means us, everyone else becomes raw material because they are the Trojan civilization. That word has a body count. And I want you guys to really listen carefully when this shows up. This is imperative because she's doing a breakdown because she used a former white supremacist.
Archaeologists looked around and they were like, yeah, there must have been white people that came to the Americas and taught them how to build these pyramid-like structures and all of the advancements, the calendars, the mathematical systems, medicinal knowledge that they had. They could not even conceive of the fact that the populations of North and South America could have at all done any of this on their own simply because they were brown-skinned. There were books and articles published by some of the early European archaeologists into North and South America where they've stated as fact that we've discovered these civilizations that are proof that Europeans must have come to the Americas. And that was foundational to my Mormon beliefs. The Book of Mormon is literally about people from Jerusalem who, by the way, I was taught would have been white, which they wouldn't have been, kind of a little hiccup in Mormon doctrine. But I believed that the Mayans, Aztecs, every civilization that had lived on the face of the Americas was because white people from Jerusalem had come to the Americas and they brought all of that knowledge, which they had directly from God. Again, a lot of white supremacy is based on the fact that God speaks directly to his race, his chosen people, those who are descended from Adam.
Who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light.
That right there was such a slam, pulled us out of the caves and the darkness and into the light. That doesn't sound like white supremacy to probably almost anybody listening to it, right? Like it almost sounds like he's just referencing women, like, oh, the power of Erica Kirk, the power of women. But he's literally slamming brown people. We lived in caves, the people in Africa, people through the Fertile Crescent, Middle East running around in the desert, and then white people, civilization, Europe, the Roman Empire, the British Empire. That caves is racist. This little phrase was racist. I'm going to back this up here.
So basically, this is light versus dark. This is the oldest paint on the propaganda wall. It's not just a metaphor. It's a map that puts some people above humanity and others below humanity.
Stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will.
You guys, that was just white supremacist. The light will defeat the dark. The white will defeat the brown. It's just white supremacist talk. And he's saying it on his.
This is the cheapest trick in politics. This is the cheapest trick in white supremacy. Keep it vague, and you can pour anyone into the villain role by sunrise. Light versus dark, simple.
Stage in front of everybody that's broadcast across the world. And the fact that he has that level of comfort saying this terrifies me.
Veil over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened.
Who is they? One guy killed Charlie Kirk. There was no they. We didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Black people didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Immigrants from Mexico didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Feminists like me, atheists like me, we didn't kill Charlie Kirk.
They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing.
This is the supremacy part of white supremacy.
Now, I'm going to let her finish her point. But when he stated that you are nothing, this is dehumanization. And it isn't an argument. It's permission. Once a crowd claps for they are nothing, the next step is doing anything to them, which they've been doing for quite some time, because they see non-white people as absolutely nothing, and especially Black people. Now, granted, people are going to throw in Jews because Again, I'm going to do another special edition here on what hate groups hate more people more so than the other. And it's sort of kind of like when they say Jews, they look at it almost as a different race, but even most Jews in Israel they come from white European countries, but we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But this is dehumanization at its best.
Let's see. And this American Christian extremism that we're seeing, which foundationally is based on white supremacy, is so terrifying because I literally believed that I was better than everybody. I literally was told from birth that I was chosen. I'll link in the description here my article on Substack entitled I Was a White Supremacist, that talks about some of the childhood indoctrination that I received, and that changed me. I would be riding around town in the back of our station wagon, and I would see Navajos in my hometown in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I spent part of my childhood, and I would think I'm better than them. Look at them, they're brown-skinned, they're Navajos, they're descendants of the Lamanites. Look at me, I'm in my nice little car with my cute little white family. I'm better than them. That supremacy, that they are nothing. Do you guys realize how horrifying this is? That a human being can stand in a stadium full of 100,000 other humans and say they are nothing about other humans and get applause. It's not just the words coming out of his mouth that alarm me. It's the millions of people across the country that are supporting this, supporting the belief that another human being is nothing. That was me for most of my life. I believed that the members of my church, the people that I saw on Sunday, those that had, gotten baptized and accepted Jesus and were doing the right things. And I grew up in a church that was racist. Black people were not allowed to go to the Mormon temple until I was in kindergarten. So I didn't have any Black people in my life. I didn't have anyone except for white people around me. The fact that this man is so comfortable saying that other human beings are not.
Belief systems cash out in rules. And if the Holy Circle never included Black votes, don't be shocked when the law doesn't either. This is policy at its best, and this is how they construct these policies to exclude certain groups of people, certain races of people.
Nothing. And the other people applaud this should terrify all of you.
You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred.
That envy is really important because, again, that's supremacy. That's what stratification, status, and power is. He is better than us. White people are better than everybody else, and they're elevated. So envy, people in the caves, those dark people, the wicked people, we are looking up at them and we are envious. By the way, this was a huge undercurrent of Nazi propaganda. In Nazi propaganda, you would often see these blonde white people, a lot of moms and families with beautiful little blonde children, and they would be standing in a wheat field with the Jewish citizens of Germany, who were often portrayed as very dark with big noses and these gray complexions, just really looking sickly, looking like they had gone through 3 months of chemotherapy, is what a lot of the Nazi propaganda portrayed Jews as looking like. And you would see them looking up at the Aryan families in the propaganda posters as though they were jealous, as though they were envious. And the propagandists always showed that elevation. They always showed the Aryan people above the Jewish people. It's despicable. It's horrible.
Have been turned into fire in our hearts. And that fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend.
I want to speak on righteous fury, because if you add righteous fury, if you add righteous to anger and you're made violence feel sacred, that is what he's, in my opinion, alluding to. History shows that what happened next, it's never mercy. It's always more violence.
Fury, he's invoking God. He's sanctifying hatred. Righteous fury has killed billions of people around the world. Do you know how many people have been killed in the name of God? I'm going to invoke God, and then I'm going to start a crusade, and I'm going to go into the Holy Land and kill everybody who isn't Christian. Spanish Inquisition, obviously not just Christianity. I'm always Christocentric because I'm a former Christian, but righteous fury is always a problem. and should terrify everybody.
Those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have you are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity.
Again, this is just basic white supremacy 101. This was my belief my whole entire life, that white people descended from Adam and Eve had built all of civilization, everything that had every medical advancement, every engineering advancement, everything had been built by white people. After I left the Mormon church, I'm 51 years old. It was literally like 4 years ago that I started to learn about like ancient cultures that hadn't been white people, that had actually had technology.
And this is the builder myth. The builder myth says that only one group makes, the rest groups, they just take. It's a fairy tale that is basically designed to justify ownership of everything. And that is what colonialism has been built upon under this evil white Christianity nationalism cloak.
Out of Egypt.
You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy.
Just a personal observation. Charlie Kirk was a very mean person. And if they're about to carry on that legacy, that also terrifies me.
And we will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion.
Charlie Kirk was shot while saying that trans people commit more school shootings than the average. Charlie Kirk hated transsexuals. And that was, unfortunately, the last sentence that would come out of his mouth.
You cannot defeat us. You cannot slow us. You cannot stop us. You cannot deter us.
We can, and we have to, and we must.
We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart every single day and fight that much harder because of what you did to us. You have no idea the dragon you have awakened. You have no idea how determined we will be to save this civilization.
Again, just all the references to civilization. This is just white supremacy. And again, the othering, the we, the them, the somebody else, the inner group and the outer group. There was one gunman with a possible accomplice who killed Charlie Kirk. I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. You didn't kill Charlie Kirk. None of us did. I didn't want him dead. I wanted him at some point to mature and maybe live a better life. This is despicable and diabolical.
To save.
And this is about saving the West in the eyes of white supremacy through Christian white nationalism. It is a marketed culture delivered as color, talking about you don't know the dragon you have awakened. This is a siege story that needs a barbarian, and it picks one by skin color tone.
The West to save this republic.
The West and the Republic, that's code word for white people. The West is white people. The Republic is white people.
Because our children are strong, and our grandchildren will be strong, and our children's children's children will be strong.
That strength comes from superiority, supremacy. It's just better genetics. It's the pure Aryan bloodline.
And what will you leave behind? Nothing. Nothing. To our enemies, you have nothing to give. You have nothing to offer. You have nothing to share but bitterness. We have beauty. We have light. We have goodness. We have determination. We have vision. We have strength. We built the world that we inhabit now, generation by generation, and we will defend.
They're talking about purity. They're talking about all the things that they have built, which, again, if you want to say that you built things in Europe, that can be debated. If you built things in Africa, that can be debated and be debunked. If you built things in Egypt, which some people say that, oh, it was the Arabs, it was the white Arabs, or it was the light color skinned Arabs. We understand that a lot of the pyramids and a lot of the very large structures in Egypt was built by the Nubians, with our dark colored melatonin people. But nonetheless, this is purity talk that seems very wholesome. And right there in the corner, what you see is President Trump is at this memorial service. But nonetheless, in practice, this is actually referencing, in my opinion, eugenics with better lighting, who's clean, who's dirty, who's light, who's dark, who gets erased, who stays.
This world, we will defend goodness. We will defend light.
That's ownership, by the way. White people came up with the innovation. White people came up with all of the advancements. Civilization wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this pure lineage. And so we own this. We own America. We own everything, the technology, the electricity, the computer that I'm recording on right now. And this all belongs to white people.
We will defend virtue. You cannot terrify us. You cannot frighten us.
Virtue, that's a nod to purity. These American Christian extremists and white supremacists believe that everything about them is more pure. They eat pure food. They have pure DNA. They like more pure entertainment. They have the cloak and the mantle of the divine on them. Again, he invoked the angels at the very beginning. So that purity, that pure bloodline is supremacy. The word supremacy means I'm supreme, I'm superior, I'm better than. So he's invoking that once again, that I'm better than.
You cannot threaten us because we are on the side of goodness. We are on the side of God. And to my friend Charlie, to my brother Charlie, I know you are looking at us right now.
When he stated my friend, that he alluded to or stated my brother, these are oath words. Brother, vow, sacrifice. This is how you bind the base. They manufacture duty, then point it at an enemy list of how they're going to defeat the forces of darkness.
You're watching Erica right now. I know you're watching your children right now.
That word brother was important too. It's always a fraternity. We are the brothers in this cause.
And I promise you, my friend, I promise you, my brother, we will prove worthy of your sacrifice.
The word sacrifice there is really loaded. Charlie did not choose for his life to be ended. And I don't think that he would have. I don't think that he would have left his wife and his children behind. I don't think that he would have left his work and his family or anything behind. He didn't choose to do that. He was killed at an event that seemed low risk enough that he didn't even have that much security, and there weren't that many police officers present. So it was a low risk day. He didn't sacrifice himself.
We will prove worthy of your time on earth. We will make you proud. We will finish the job. We will defeat the forces of darkness and evil.
Again, the forces of darkness. Yeah, some of that is satanic. Some of that is biblical. So that would be sinners. That would be people living together without being married. That would be single moms. That would be people who smoke marijuana. That would certainly be anybody on the LGBTQ spectrum. That would be people who are dark, people who aren't Christians. Atheists are, darkness, evil, sinners, followers of Satan.
This is basically anyone who is non-white and non-Christian, because this is, as she was stating, when darkness includes, LGBTQ plus community, atheists, Muslims, single mothers, brown, black people. This isn't morality. This is a map of who to punish. This is a map of who to crucify.
Buddhists, Muslims, anyone who isn't Christian would fall into that category. But again, darkness is a theme, and that is a white supremacy theme. And he also means that in a racist context.
And we will stand every day for what is true, what is beautiful, what is good. And we will achieve victory for our children, for our families, for our civilization, and for every patriot who stands with us. God bless you. God bless Turning Point. God bless Erica. God bless the Kirk family. God bless our heroes. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
By the way, that was a very Nazi-like gesture at the end there.
Also, if the aesthetics echo authoritarianism, it's not by accident. Symbols recruit the past to authorize the present. And she's pointing these things out. Don't mirror the hate, starve it, spend, local, build mutual aid, win school boards and courtrooms, and organizing beats outrage. Because I just was looking at a piece from PragerU where basically Christopher Columbus came over and he was talking to Black people that slavery is better than death, is it not? So basically stating that since we didn't kill you all, slavery wasn't bad. And do not forget, Ron DeSantis of Florida, the governor, basically hinted at the same thing. And now Oklahoma, for being the second state to adopt PragerU kids curriculum in schools.
And that was salute. And again, if you're on the wrong side, he doesn't care about your children. He doesn't care about your grandchildren. They're not pure. They don't have strength. They don't have the lineage. They aren't capable of building civilizations. He does not recognize the contributions of the history of this planet from people who were brown-skinned, from people who weren't European. That is white supremacy. This whole entire talk from beginning to end terrifies me. And I will say that he is wrong about so many things, but the one thing that he is the most wrong about is if there is a them and an us, and if they are drawing that line in the sand, which I personally would have never drawn. I've never, as a former MAGA, very recent former MAGA, former white supremacist, I've never drawn a line in the sand, ever. I've never said, you can't be friends with me, you can't talk to me, you can't be part of my world, I'm fighting against you, this is a war. But if this man and his supporters are going to draw a line in the sand, then here's what you do. You push. That is the denim revolution. It is time for strategic spending. It is time for boycotts. It is time for you out there who feel like you want to make a change in this world to get your political science degrees, to get your law degrees, and run for office and build a better future for our children. It's time for us to speak up and push back against this. This is terrifying. We resist. The biggest thing that we can do to resist this is to rebuild our villages, get to know your neighbors, be friends with everybody, strengthen one another, help each other. If you have single moms in your neighborhood, help them out. Maybe they need a little bit of financial help. Maybe they could use help with the yard work once in a while. Support local businesses. Let's pull the rug out from under the billionaires and the millionaires. For all of human history, we have thrived on cooperation. Corporations are the antithesis. They are the enemy to human communities. So build back your tribe, be there for each other. One thing we can do right now is just step back and relax. These people are in power and they are strategizing how to turn the whole entire United States of America into a Christian nationalist, white supremacist New Jerusalem. The Handmaid's Tale is not only coming, it is already here. That's it. I will have.
So you guys can go to her channel. I'll scroll her channel because I don't do too many reaction videos. And this is Life Take Two, because again, she's on a new path and all the things that she believed in. She found out being part of the Mormon church, as well as a white Christian nationalist, that, she's again, that she's a former white supremacist. But in this breakdown, once you hear the code and how she decoded a lot of the language that you guys may not be familiar with through the eyes of Christianity and righteousness, once you hear that code, you can't unhear it. You need to teach someone else the glossary. That's how we end this particular spell that we have on the people who do not believe that white supremacy, racism actually exists, not just here in America, but around the world. Now, we understand that, this particular language builds reality for a lot of people that take it upon themselves and take firearms. Most of them, 99% of them, take firearms so they can inflict massive amount of damage on people. And they write manifesto to justify their hate, to justify the reason why they're committing this very inhumane crime against people. When the words change, the world they allow changes as well. So let's choose better worlds. But we first need to understand not the enemy, but the system and those who contribute with the ideological and ideations of this system and how they will carry out to delete eliminate and kill people who are not like them and who do not follow their ideology and the way that they see things and the way they have bastardized and manipulated the word of God. And the only question I have is, for people who are Christians, for people who are Muslims, for people who are Buddhists, people who are Hindu. But let's go back to Christianity, because this is what this is about. Who wrote the word of God that they're referring to? I know there's going to be a lot of debate in the comment sections. And who should follow those words, and who is it actually meant for? When I went to Ghana, and when the Ghanaian tour guide told me that slaves were in the belly of this castle that they built in order to ship slaves through the chattel slavery system of West Africa, they were having church using a holy Bible right above their heads. And at the same time sent Black priests, Black preachers to Europe so they can indoctrinate them further, so they can replace African spirituality with Christianity to justify some of the exact things that we're doing. And she was stated that white people are pure and that they're the direct descendants of Adam and Eve and that they're from God and that Black people are cursed. This is Black Logic.